Welcome to the Gold Standard here on the 440 Sports Network. That is Emma Lingan. I am Braden Gall. We are brought to you by Sinkers Beverages. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, the Festivus for the rest of us, the feats of strength, the airing of grievances. I hope whatever it is you have, you celebrate it aptly and have a great time with Sinkers Beverages. Emma, good morning, good afternoon, good day. What is today? What is it, Monday? Is it lunchtime? What are we doing?
I know. And we're in 2 different time zones now to make it even more complicated. So I don't even know. Good day.
Good afternoon for you. Good day for me. Hope everyone had a wonderful morning. How about that? A little out of whack today, of course, or this week because of the schedule with the holidays. So we will not be on Wednesday. And if you want to get into the comment section now and you catch us because you have your notifications turned on YouTube, etc., then this will be a good way for you to figure out, hey, sometimes we're not on Wednesdays because that's Christmas Eve and I'm very busy on Christmas Eve with a variety of things I need to take care of, Emma. Some years more so than others. But I'm glad that so many of you are here. Logan, Nash, Josh, Nate, already in the comment section. That means your notifications are turned on. So there you go. Good to see all you guys. Just Nash Lana's just looking. Good afternoon and Merry Christmas from Logan. Y'all wait until a few minutes after the hour to be as hockey authentic as possible. I see what you're doing. I like that. I like that. Notifications paid off from Josh. Predemption here. There we go. Just in time. If you guys want to ask questions throughout the course of the show, we will absolutely allow you guys the opportunity to get in. Merry Christmas to you as well, to Predemption. There we go. So hope everybody has a great holiday and just enjoy some time away from hockey like the Preds are going to do. Preds are going streaking. I don't know. They can't really do that, but that's going to be our first topic today is this last 3-game stretch. Yeah, what kind of tank is this, says Eric. That is correct. I do think this last 3-game stretch is going to give us sort of an example of, I think, what this team is. So I don't think they're going streaking in a good or a bad way. I just think they kind of are what they are. So we'll get to that. I know you wrote about Luke Evangelista and the star power sort of picking up right now with him, as well as some other guys doing great work over the course of the last 10, 12, 13 games or so. Juuse Saros numbers getting better. They're better than they were last year now. He has a good stretch. That's what happens. But, of course, Sinkers Beverages, before we do, great place to go finish your holiday shopping. They've got lots of really small options. I know I've been saying this for you to you guys on this show and the other shows that Sinkers sponsors. Grateful for their support. 5-time Liquor Store of the Year, award-winning in almost every possible way. And I assume, Emma, I don't know if you're like me, do you have gifts still yet to purchase for some folks, or are you like one of those people that's like done on like December 11th or something?
I think I'm somewhere in between. I think the fact that I obviously am in a different location today, so had to get all of my shopping done before December 20th because that's when I left home. So I'm mostly done. Maybe some stocking stuffers, little things, but for the most part done.
I all the kids stuff is done. The wife stuff was done like yesterday when they were out of the house for about 6 hours. I still have some stuff for like my brother and my family we got to get to do, but I'm kind of done here. And all I really need to do is stuff the stockings. And obviously I will not be, going to Sinkers for my kids' stocking stuffers, but for everyone else, it is a great place to go do that. Get little miniature fun RTDs, ready to drink pre-made alcoholic beverages. If you want to kind of lighten it up the mood a little bit, they've got this great eggnog selection right now. If you're into that stuff, are you eggnog?
No, I'm not.
I've always not liked it, and now I don't know if it's a sign of old age that like now I really like eggnog.
Your taste buds are just dying as you get older, and
maybe
now you like
maybe I just like maybe I appreciate like the milky coolness of eggnog on my esophagus because I'm old. During the holidays, I can't eat and drink like I used to. Lots of really good stuff at Sinkers though. So you go get eggnog, you can go get barware. They got cool like cocktail books, cocktail recipes, all kinds of fun ideas, just really small stuff. It's a perfect way to go, hey, so-and-so at the office needs something. I forgot to pick it up, or so-and-so. Like, it's just a great place to go do that. So check out Sinkers Beverages. All right, Predators are 9-4 in their last 13. They lose 4-1 to Calgary since we last spoke. They win 5-3 in a really hard-fought game against Toronto. They win 2-1 against New York. Similarly hard-fought, but very different scoreline in the Rangers game. And look, I don't think I want to do the thing that we did last week and be like, can this team make the playoffs? Are they good at hockey now? Can they challenge? They have moved up in the standings, because Winnipeg and Chicago continue to not do the hockey well. And St. Louis is right there, and we know that they're technically better than St. Louis. So really, they've kind of moved up 3 slots technically in this entire thing. So did I say Calgary or Carolina? Did I say
I thought you said Carolina, or at least that's what I heard.
Come on, Redemption, you're screwing up my. I was in the flow state there. So I don't think that's worth asking. We know the underlying metrics still are not of a great team. Emma, I asked you this last week. How many of the now they have 15 wins. Of their 15 wins, how many are against teams sitting in playoff slots currently?
Still not the majority.
Still 2. Still just 2.
Still 2.
Still 2 because Toronto and New York are either last or next to last. They're not good at hockey either. And they did have to struggle to beat those 2 teams. They gave up late goals that made it way too closer than it needed to be in the final minute, which has kind of been a problem for the team all year. There's lots of good here, Emma. There's lots of good. But I still have a tough time finding the right perspective or perception of this. What is the right perspective of the 9-4 streak over 13?
I think for the most part, it's kind of what you just said. It's that they're beating teams that they should be beating, like teams that are not in playoff spots, teams like Toronto and New York. And it's just kind of, I guess even that is an improvement from last year. If you think about it, they weren't beating those teams last year when they should have been. So at least now it's kind of like, this is what you expect. You're beating the teams that you should be beating. When you do win over a playoff team, all 2 times that happened, it's clearly the outlier, right? It's like, that's, well, a blind squirrel finds a nut sometimes. So I think it's just kind of like, all right, we're settling into this is what they are. Just kind of back to that mushy middle, I guess, that people were so angry about, before Barry Trotz got here. And right now, I mean, I'd say getting back to the mushy middle is almost a progression to the mean, since they regressed so badly last year. So I think it's just kind of, all right, we're sort of leveling out here. That's just kind of how I see it.
I think that's right too. I think this is who they are. That's what I think, because they have too much talent to be the worst team in the league. But it's clear that they don't have enough talent to beat good teams. Again, they beat, and both of those wins against teams in playoff slots came in this little stretch of games. In fact, it began with that road win against Detroit. That was a very entertaining hockey game a couple of weeks ago. That's the beginning of this streak, because that was the game right after the 8-3 loss at home to Florida. The other one, of course, is a crazy win against Colorado, in which Juuse Saros played brilliant hockey and they won in extra time in shootout fashion, I think. So I just don't think that you can by any stretch call this a playoff team or a good team. But I do think they're good enough to, on most nights, when they play bottom half of the league teams, compete well and win. And they did not, I give them credit against Toronto. They're down 1-0 in the first. They're down 2-1 in the second. I really think that goal at the end of the second period, 30 seconds to go, which was that wasn't Evangelista's goal. The crazy Evangelista goal was to take the lead in the third.
Yep.
But scoring a goal like that to come back twice on Toronto at home, I think it shows some like mental toughness and some intestinal fortitude. But at the end of the day, it's still an awful hockey team right now, or a not great hockey team right now at home that you had to come back twice on. And you couldn't put them away in the final couple of minutes. Now you did, but it took way more effort than you needed to. Kind of a little different game against the Rangers, equally bad opponent, if not worse. And basically a shutout all the way through middle of the second period. Forsberg scores an amazing goal off an amazing assist from Ryan O'Reilly, and then they have to just absolutely bust it to hold the Rangers, and still give up a goal in the final minute to make it even closer than it had to be. This is who they are. Like, this is who they are. They are going to lose against good teams. They're going to beat bad teams. They're probably going to be like around 500 at the end of the year. And I know most of you in the comments are going to call that, still sitting in the middle, not picking a direction. And even though I think they might be stuck there because of the roster situation. So until there's movement, they might just be like the 19th best team or the 22nd best team in the league for the next foreseeable future.
And you know what? Like, that's honestly, after what they went through last year, I think that that's fine. That's okay to be that, because you at least have a plan, or not a plan, because that word tends to trigger a lot of Predators fans, but you can kind of have a vision of what's coming. You can see there is something coming in the pipeline. You have these young pieces who aren't quite ready yet. They're not here yet. These older veteran pieces, they aren't going to be here forever. You kind of have to be comfortable being uncomfortable in the mushy middle right now while you wait. I think Barry Trotz tried, not successfully, but tried to bridge that gap a little bit more seamlessly. Obviously, that hasn't worked out. So now you just have to be like, kind of accept the fact that, look, it didn't work that way. It didn't work out. But just because that gap bridging didn't happen the way we wanted it to, that doesn't eliminate those future pieces. They're still there. They're just not ready yet. And it might just be a couple more, a few more years of this mushy middle, but at least it's, again, it's all about perspective, right? Because I think mushy middle right now, we would love that after last year. Like, I personally would love to be living in the middle right now. So I think this is kind of, if you, like you said, if you look at the roster construction, look at where this team is headed, this right now, it's kind of the best case scenario in terms of what's actually realistic.
And I can hear all of you in the comments going, but that actually means that it's the worst case scenario for the draft. And I understand all of that, but we still have a long way to go. They could go on a really bad losing streak in February and March and be right back at the bottom of the 5, a top 5 draft pick. This is an all right team, says Jay Cart. This is an all right team, but so much more entertaining to watch than last year. And I do agree with that. And I think I've said it multiple times. Like, they seem to be playing entertaining games. Like, even the loss to Carolina was a close game in the third period until Carolina kind of put it away, sort of.
And Juuse Saros played a very entertaining game.
Right.
Rest of the team, not so much.
But I was looking at the numbers. They are in 1-goal games. They're 8-2-4. So in 1-goal games, now that doesn't include like a game like Toronto, which is them winning what is basically a tie game in the third period. They Evangelista's spectacular goal takes the lead, and then they, it's a 1-goal lead, and then they get an empty netter. That's basically a tie game that they figured out a way to win. And there's a number of other ones like that they've done, but they're 8-2-4 in 1-goal games, which means when it's a close game like that, they're generally getting a point and definitely getting 2. When they are tied after 2 periods, they are 5-1 outright in those games, which means when they go into the third in a dead heat, they're finding ways to win those games. Ironically, all 6 of those games happened at Bridgestone. They have not entered the third period tied at any point this season on the road, which is very strange. It's just totally coincidental. But if you look at that, they're winning tie games at home, and they're winning 1-goal games overall, 6-2-2 at home in 1-goal games. That means they're entertaining the fans at least. And I do agree they're a far more entertaining product to watch this year.
Well, they are, because you don't, for the most part, you feel like they can still keep themselves in games, even if they fall behind early, which last year, all it took was, other team scores in the first period. And then it's like, well, this game's over, because you just knew they weren't coming back. There was no fight in that team at all last year. It at least seems like they have some fight this year, which I understand that the fight and the power of positive thinking isn't going to win you games. I understand that. But it is encouraging. It's more encouraging to see, because even though, it's undeniable. You look at more of the tangibles, like, especially, I thought it was very evident in the game against Carolina how slow this Predators team is. They are not fast. They could not hold on to the puck very well. They just weren't scaring anyone in that game. And so it's like, you see the tangibles, the speed and things like that aren't there, the speed and the puck possession in particular. But it's like, okay, that's fine. Obviously it's not fine. You want them to have those tangibles, but it's like, you feel less, at least I felt less doom and gloom about the entire, the prospect of the future for this organization, because it was like, okay, at least it looks like they're trying. It looks like they care. which I don't know that you could say last year. Not that I really think I mean, it's not fair to say that they didn't care last year. They weren't trying, but they just looked lost and they looked really directionless. And you don't really get that sense with them this year. So those kinds of intangible things are the things that scare me a little bit more, because those aren't things that you can coach. There are things that
Yep.
you can just fix. And so I feel better about this team. I still don't think they're a playoff team, but I feel much more optimistic about where this team is headed.
I was really hoping you'd be like, I'm much more better. I'm much more better. I feel much more better about this team. It's like
I do feel more better.
2.8 goals per game so far on the season. That is up to 23rd in the NHL. And remember, after the Florida loss, we were looking at this team and they were basically dead last in power play, basically dead last in goals per game. They are now up to 21st in the power play, and they are up to 23rd in goals scored. That's still not good, but it is an improvement over last year where they were the worst offense, and an improvement of where this team started this year. Again, we are grasping at straws here, folks. Eric
it's all
says,
about perspective.
That's right. It's the holiday season. Eric says, so Barry's chips have increased in value equals sell. Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with some of that. So, look, I think here's another one from Logan. This is as close to their ceiling that we have seen. The only way they could do better is if Marchessault was healthy. That does remind me. Cole Smith, a goal and an assist in his first 3 games back on the team, does a lot for their penalty kill as well. I think he only helps this team continue to kind of produce at the level they are. I don't think anything they've done indicates that they've got a higher ceiling, but I think it's clear that they can compete like this most nights. And I think that is an improvement over where the season started. And the question is like, is that enough to show to the fans that this group, coaching staff and players, are still the thing Barry Trotz should be committed to? And that's still the question. Like, okay, they've shown improvement. They are better. The offense is better. They're scoring more goals. They're beating bad teams. This isn't some proof point for Barry Trotz to say, see, I told you guys so about Andrew Burnett, right? Like, they're still under 500. They're still near the bottom of the Western Conference and the bottom of the division. It still doesn't change the ultimate questions that doubters have about the organization.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's a doubt that I have a little bit too. I think that, we agree that this is nice that they're improving over what they were. Not that that was exactly a high bar to clear to begin with, but they're improving over what they were. I think we're all a little bit, or at least I am a little bit scarred from the U2 18-game point streak thing, because that was what it was, a kind of dramatic improvement that tricked a lot of us, including Barry Trotz, into thinking that this team was a lot closer to being a contender than they actually were. And so I think because he went all in that offseason and brought in Stamkos and Marchessault and those guys and really tried to sell the fan base on this idea that we're going to win now. And not only the fan base, he sold those players on that too. I mean, he didn't go to Steven Stamkos and say, hey, come here and bridge the gap for our rebuild. Like,
Right.
it was, he's planning, he was trying to communicate that to the players as well. Yeah. And we've talked about this before, that Barry Trotz, in his history as a coach, he feels very beholden to his players and he wants to do right by them, which I can respect. So that does give me a little bit of concern that it's like, okay, 2 things can be true, Barry. Like, yes, this team is improving over what they were, but also this current iteration of this team should not be where you're pushing all your chips in, because it's just if this is the ceiling, that's fine, but this is not where you should be pushing your chips in.
Yep. Expiring contracts need to be traded. That's it. There's no question about that. By the way, when they started this, I know we had kind of joked about it in the past. When they started this streak, they had 4 wins in regulation on the entire season. They have won 7 times in regulation of the 9 that they've won. So, again, getting the job done in regulation. These are low bars to clear, but they are doing a better job of this. And I think it's they still have yet to win 3 games in a row for a long time. It hasn't happened in a while. But they got Minnesota on Tuesday night, a team that's playing good hockey, but on the road against Minnesota before the break. So they're playing good hockey. We'll get to some of the star power here. first of all, so they go 7 straight on the road, starting on Tuesday night. The break is not long enough really to be a long break. It's like a 4-day break. I do think it's a bad time for it because they're fairly healthy outside of March or so. They're really healthy, and they are kind of playing good hockey. So I think it would be better to be playing as much as possible right now. But it's not that long of a break. Do you have any? Do you feel that the break has any effect on this team one way or the other at all?
It could. I mean, with just as kind of a precarious of a position that they've been in, like
Yeah.
I don't feel confident that this break, as small as it is, I don't feel confident that it won't affect them. So I mean, it could happen, but I don't. Again, I don't think it's going to dramatically change anything.
Yeah, if it was like a 5-6 days of being off, I could say it came at the exact wrong time. But I think it's short enough to know that if you go Tuesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Saturday, that you're okay. Just hey, get a break, go see some family for the holiday, and then get back on the. But again, 7 straight games away from home, though. They do not have a home game until the Islanders on January 8th. That's like a winter break for my kids' school system. Like that's how long that is, and so that's like St. Louis, Utah, Vegas, Seattle, Calgary, Edmonton. Couple of really good teams in there, and a couple of really bad ones, and so I have a feeling that when they come back to Bridgestone, it's going to be a similar conversation. Hey, they lost to the good teams. They challenged and maybe beat the bad teams, and they're sitting there right around 500.
Yeah. I mean, again, that's kind of the ceiling. That's kind of the best case scenario for this team right now. And again, with this break, again, I don't think it should really matter that much, even if it does like derail things for them, because it's not like this break is going to be the difference between them being a playoff team or not.
No. All right, Sinkers Beverages for all your last-minute gift needs. I promise you it's a great place to go pick up some gifts. Sinkers Beverages, East Nashville, over 40 years of serving the community, 5-time Liquor Store of the Year, award-winning craft beer fridge, and lots of great stocking stuffers. So go check out Sinkers Beverages. Sign up for the in-crowd. You'll get all kinds of really cool stuff. I just got a bourbon, Emma, that is it benefits Friends of Shelby, which is the nonprofit organization that runs Shelby Park, which is, I think, a gem of a park in our city, one of the best parks in Nashville. And there's a local distillery that put together a label that's got the Shelby Bridge on it and like the whole deal. And part of the proceeds go to benefit Shelby Park. So you can find cool stuff like that that's done for the community that's only available at places like Sinkers. And you can do that because you sign up for the in-crowd and you get a notification that says, hey, we got this cool new thing. Part of the proceeds go to help this charity that helps the park that you and your kids use. And so that's the kind of stuff that they're doing. So check them out. Search Uber Eats for Sinkers Beverages and have the booze delivered directly to your house this holiday season. Make sure you support good local businesses. All right, Emma, we'll talk about some of the stars here. You wrote a story about Luke Evangelista. Why did you want to write about Luke Evangelista? I think we had one. I think Keyser had one up at Lower Broad Hockey a couple weeks ago as well. What did you want to? What stood out about him? Obviously, the spectacular goal on over the weekend.
Yeah, I mean that goal. Truly, looked like something that was borrowed from Connor McDavid. Like it was spectacular. And that was obviously the clip, the video that went viral, and everyone was seeing that. Wow, Luke Evangelista, so cool. And that's great. But I think what's been that just to me seemed like an opportune time to really kind of look on his season as a whole and think about how, for the most part, aside from that one very flashy goal, a lot of his season hasn't been very flashy, but he's still made a statement. I think after everything that happened with the offseason, with his contract holdout, that whole thing, and he didn't really come storming onto the scene and like, I'm proving that I'm going to earn my contract, but I think that he's done that very quietly. He leads the team in assists. Some of his assists have been the more highlight reel, spectacular type plays. We don't usually see those kinds of goals from him like we did on Saturday, but I mean, for the most part, he's been a really impactful player for this team. Still, like I said, leads the team in assists. I think he's made his line mates better, which is what the best players do. And so I think that is a huge win, not only for him, but also for the organization. It's exactly the kind of season that he's needed to have, especially after all that holdout, because everyone is kind of, at least we were. It's like, why did this take so long to get him signed to a 2-year, $6 million contract? Like, that seems very standard for a player of his caliber. So now it's like he is now raising his own price for when he becomes a UFA in a couple years. And he's, it's helping the team at the same time. So it's, mutually beneficial, I think.
No, I mean, I'll put my hand up and say, look, he's just no way he was near the player that was holding out for like a $4 million deal. Mm-hmm. And as he's playing right now, he is playing a lot more like a $4 million player than any of us kind of expected. So he is the one sort of winning the conversation around that as it pertains to the contract negotiation. And certainly now Trotz is going to look like a genius because he's going to have a potentially guy setting career numbers for $3 million a year for the next 2 years, who's only 23 years old. There's a play that I remember that he like dove, but he took a pass off the rush. I think it was with O'Reilly and Ford. Maybe it was a Stamkos, and he dives behind the net. I can't remember. This was a couple weeks ago. He dives behind the net going full speed and kind of like throws it back out front. And I think Stamkos scored off of it on like the putback. It was specifically a really excellent play by him. It reminds me not of the goal that he scored, but of like the thing that Barry Trotz has talked about. And then we've talked about what he needs to do to take his game to the next level. He's always had hands. He's always had skill with the puck. He's always had that. Never been a great shooter. He's not a particularly fast player, but he's got to keep his feet moving. He's got to skate. And I think that's the thing he talked about working on this offseason. And when you see plays like that, the things that stand out to me are the ones where he is continuing to skate hard through the entire play down near the net on offense. That's what that play was, which is he took the puck off the boards and cut to the middle, and then he had them, but like he went right through the zone on that because he was skating hard. Same play where he goes around the net. And look, I don't think he's ever going to be like a 30-goal scorer. I don't think that's what he does. He's only got 1 point in the last 5 games, but he was a big chunk, a big reason why the team got off the mat after that Florida game, because that's right in the middle of his hot streak and was really driving offense. And he's got to keep skating. As long as he's skating, the rest of his game will come. Like, he's got too good of hands. He sees the ice really well. It will all be there if he keeps his legs moving and keeps his feet moving. And I think we're seeing that. And one more thing on Evangelista, we had some folks talking about on I think it might have been on either Blue Sky, Twitter, Lower Broad Hockey. I can't remember. There was a conversation around the value of keeping Ryan O'Reilly for another year off of our conversation seemingly every week about the value of keeping him until next year's deadline or trading him now. And there was a lot of talk about the impact he's going to have on the next generation. And if you use the next generation as Brady Martin, Teddy Stiga, Igor Surin, a lot of those players, Cameron Reed, Riker Lee, I don't think you're talking about the right people. I think the impact he's going to have is on Fedor Svechkov. It's going to be on Matthew Wood. It's going to be on potentially the Ryan Ufgos and Tanner Molendykes of the world that are going to come up and see how this all works. He has had a positive impact on Nick Blankenberg. It is Luke Evangelistas that will gain from the fact that they are playing with Ryan O'Reilly and seeing it all by example. He is not required to mentor these people. That's not his job. It's not his job. But at the end of the day, the fact that they're around him, seeing what he does, seeing how he conducts himself as a professional, seeing how he grinds every shift, it's that wave of players. It's not the next wave. It's the current wave that are learning right now how to be a full-time NHL player like Matthew Wood that are benefiting the most.
And I will say, I mean, this has been the case for as long as he's been with the team, as long as O'Reilly has. I mean, we've always kind of joked about it, how if you want to talk to Ryan O'Reilly after skate, better get comfortable, because he's going to be one of the longest or one of the last guys out on the ice. So just get comfortable waiting for him. But I mean, Luke Evangelista is always right there with him. It's those two always are two of the last guys off the ice every single skate. So, I mean, it's little things like that you got to notice and realize it's having an impact.
Redemption says, now Luke has to just keep this up. I want 82 games season out of him at the rate he's going. Look, he played 80 games in his first full season, but his second season in a Predators uniform. He had 39 points. That's sort of the high water mark for him in every category, 16 goals. Again, I don't think he's going to set a career high in goals, but he could. 10 more goals is not out of the question, 10 or 12 more goals. But he's on pace to shatter every other number career high. Like he's got 19 assists. And for the record, I think O'Reilly is the lead in assists right now. I think he passed him yesterday. 23 was his career high, 39 points. He is on pace to obliterate that this season. So again, really good contract for the Preds and for the team. He's playing really good hockey, and if he keeps playing the way he is, he's going to earn more money and be an even bigger part of the rebuild. Like right now, who is a bigger piece for the next generation of the Nashville Predators than Luke Evangelista? Right, currently, right now.
Because we talk about that bridge. There really isn't much of a bridge. It's like the old guys who are here and then the young guys who are not here yet. And it's like there's a very small group there that Luke Evangelista is kind of the face of that, the group of him, Svechkov, Matthew Wood, but even Evangelista is the most tenured by far of all of those guys. So like he's kind of the spearhead of this entire now, but also not yet group, which is pretty small to begin with.
So I'm looking at this and I guess I hadn't thought about this, but now that I'm thinking through kind of what you're saying about that intermediate group, right? I mean, Perbix and Haig are 27. They're not that old. And so those two guys, Blankenberg is 27. Willsby's 25 with an excellent goal over the weekend. Like I'm not suggesting that every one of those pieces is obviously a part of the next wave. But with Perbix and Haig, they have sort of set themselves up as the beginning of the intermediate pieces as well, because
sure,
I'm just kind of talking through like what the next generation could look like, and I think those guys could be added to. I just hadn't thought of them that way. I
was talking more specifically about the forward group.
Sure.
That's kind of all you have there, but yeah, I mean, people talk about Nick Blankenberg being one of the kids. I'm like, he's really not. He's actually he's old. Like he's old. He's not old, but
I guess my reaction to what you were saying was that, like, I know you were talking forwards. That's what my brain does too, is like, oh, when I think about the next generation, it's like they've got to find 6 new forwards or 8 new forwards to go, because they don't have anybody else other than, frankly, Matthew Wood, Svechkov, and Evangelista that have any chance to kind of grow into those roles. And I kind of have always felt like, well, after Jouse, Shea's under contract, but he's old. Jouse, when he's gone, like they've got to bring up Ufko and Molendijk, and they've got to figure out what Gibson's going to be, and and Cameron Reed's got to be a part of that. And I'm like, well, I personally had not sort of placed mentally Haig and Perbix in that category, but that's clearly what they are. They are the transitionary pieces that are going to be here during the old guy time and here during the young guy time, ideally in the next generation.
Well, I think that was kind of one of the main selling points of the Haig signing in particular, because Haig, I mean, it's a pretty big dollar amount, larger than a lot of people were comfortable with giving him on his contract. And I think kind of one of the key selling points is, well, hey, he's only like 26. So he's not, it's not like we're giving a ton of money to an old guy. So that was kind of the idea there. In terms of Blankenberg, I think he has shocked everyone, proven everyone wrong. No one expected him to carve out the role for himself that he did. We all kind of thought, even after last year, we kind of, the narrative around that was, well, that's a nice story. Like, that was nice. The last year sucked, but that was one little bright spot that we can all smile about. But he won't be on the team this year. Not only is he on the team, he's one of their best defensemen right now. And again, last year that seemed more of a commentary on the rest of the defense than it was about him. But now, I mean, I think that he's really upped his game, and he's, doing really well. Certain things he's not going to be able to change. Like, he's still a very undersized player. But I mean, he's making really team friendly money right now. And now everyone's talking about, well, where's the Blankenberg extension? It's just so funny that, you never really expected that. But it's nice when those things happen.
He and Wilsby are both 25. Haig and Perbix are 27. If those are, let's say that 3 of those guys stick with the team long term. I don't know which one it's going to be. Like all of a sudden, Yossi in 3 or 4 years, maybe you can get out from underneath the Shea contract in some way. I don't know. And Yossi's retired. Like you do have some pieces here to work with, and then you kind of start to filter in Ufko and Molendijk and Reed and whoever else, and all of a sudden you've got the makings of a new defense core. But the whole, we do spend a lot of time talking about the transitionary players and that there's none of them on the team. Like Evangelista's becoming one of them, and you need Svechkov to become one of them. And I feel like a lot of times we don't talk about the defense in the same way, but Blankenberg, Haig, and Perbix have a chance to become that group. They're not the star. None of those guys are going to be the Forsberg of the group, the way Evangelista could be a top line player. But I think, or Matthew Wood could be a top line winger. I mean, the goal is to have Wood, Martin, and Evangelista as your top line in a couple of years. I mean, that's the goal. So I don't know. Just maybe there's more there in the middle than I thought. I mean, look, McCarron, I don't expect him to be here after the trade deadline. He's 30. I did not realize Tyson Yost was only 27, but he's not really a piece on the team. Cole Smith is 30.
I might have a hot take on McCarron, and I don't think it's one that a lot of people will like.
Okay.
I think they're going to keep him. I think they're going to keep McCarron.
I think he's a valuable player for what he's making, and
I do too. I do
which
too.
Which is why his trade value is more than people realize.
Right. But I think people are, and understandably so, looking at this team and thinking everyone on an expiring contract should be gone, which conceptually I understand. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I think certain guys, Bunting should be gone, Holla should be gone. I think that this team, and not just McCarron, I'll throw Smith in there too. I think there is a lot to be said for how valuable, if you can get solid, dependable fourth line, a center and a winger. I mean, it's kind of like the Kiefer Sherwood effect a little bit, that you're starting to see it. I don't think that Barry Trotz is going to easily let those guys go. For how often have we heard it about, well, these are the guys, this is the line that sets the identity for this team and all of this stuff. And I mean, Ozzy Weisblatt's been part of that, but I also think Ozzy Weisblatt could probably play up a little higher. Maybe, I mean, third line, he has done that. So I think that I'm leaning more towards, I don't think McCarron or Smith are going anywhere. And I know that a lot of fans probably won't like that, because they're understandably all in on this. Okay, overhaul everything, anything that can go should go, and I get that, but at this point I genuinely don't believe that getting rid of McCarron and Smith makes your team better. Now, if someone were to come and give them, offer some crazy return, like you get a Tanner Jeannot type trade package, sure, fine. But was
there a first round or a second round pick on the table for McCarron? Rumors last year. I think it was a second, maybe.
Rumors was a second round. Okay. Rumors was a second round. That was never.
No, I agree with your. But I agree with your point.
Technically, that's a downgrade because McCarron's a first round pick, lest we forget. So.
That's true, but it's clearly not a first round pick. If you know what I mean. I just think he. I agree. Right now, there's McCarron and Smith provide a lot of value from also just this is how you need to play, and you need a line like that. Sure, would be nice to have a Kiefer Sherwood. Here's the other thing: like lost in all of this is Zach LaRue. Like unfortunately, Zach LaRue is sort of his entire trajectory is just taking a huge step back through no fault of anybody's, just the injury. And if he was out there right now, he would have been out there instead of Reed Schaefer and instead of Ozzy Weisblatt, and so. That's another player that would have been part of this sort of transitional piece because he had earned so much playing time last year. He earned the chance at least to lose the starting spot this year. And it seemed like the injury from the beginning had kind of cost him. And so that's another transitionary piece that's closer to being a starting contributor if things work out for him. And so he's another one that we should add to that list. But I always forget. Like I'm always like, oh, yeah, Zach LaRue.
Yeah.
That's another first-round pick that should be there.
Yeah, but I think people just unnecessarily hate on. Well, I've been beating the Cole Smith drum for years now that people did not recognize or appreciate the value that he brought to this team. I think this year more than ever, people are starting to appreciate that because of how badly this team did when he was out. because he was injured. McCarron, I think so many so many fans hate on him so much, and I just don't understand why, because he's not a volume goal scorer. He's a fourth line center. He's not supposed to be a volume goal scorer, but he's really good in the face-off circle. He defends really well. Like he's not ever going to be Philip Forsberg type offense, but that's not his job. So I don't know. A lot of people, I just see a lot of people get rid of McCarron, anything you can. And it's like he's
no.
okay.
The only reason I like trading McCarron is because I think you can get a pretty decent return for him. Like I actually think he's a valuable
I agree
asset.
with your argument. I understand, but I see a lot of arguments being like, "Oh, just get him off this team." It's like, why? Explain to me why. How does he make this team worse?
Maybe it's just because I grew up watching hockey in the 90s, like before all the new rules and before the strike and during the trap era of the Devils and Scott Stevens. But like, I love the Colton Sissons type players. Like those are my favorite players. Like if you're a candidate for the Selke, I love your game.
I love them too, but I think Predators fans as a whole are very twitchy about those kinds of players because for so long
that's all they had.
That's all they had. Like those players are great, but they're not great if you have an entire team of them. Like you don't want a whole team of them. Just like you wouldn't want a whole team of Philip Forsbergs either. So I'd
be okay with that.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
I'd take 9 Forsbergs and you can pick whoever you want and I'll go to battle with that. All right. So check out the article. Of course, that's Hockey News. Is that right? Is that where you wrote it or is it somewhere else?
Hockey Hot Stove.
Hockey Hot Stove. Sorry. hockeytohotstove.com. Go check that out. Of course, follow her all over the internet as well. Sinkers Beverages. 7-game point streak for Ryan O'Reilly. You have the absolute filthy goal from Evangelista. One of the more creative assists I've ever seen from O'Reilly against the Rangers, dropping it back to Forsberg in like the third. I thought he was going to pass it to Forsberg 2 different times, and then it was the third time that he actually made the pass. Very impressive stuff. That's a 7-game point streak for him. You've got Forsberg now with 7 goals and 4 assists in his last 8 games. He's on a tear. When he gets hot, we know he gets hot. And I would like to do this on December 22nd. He is not actually at his best in February. He is generally at his best right around now. He's actually peaking a little early right now, but generally it's January that he does his best. And I know the Predator social media team doesn't understand that doesn't look as good on memes, but like he actually is better in January, and we are like 10 days from January, and he's on a tear right now. So 7 goals, 4 assists, and Steven Stamkos 10 goals and 5 assists. He's got a 4-game point streak going. That is 15 points during this 9-4 stretch. The Stars have been doing work. Juuse Saros also, by the way, has been pretty solid for the most part during this stretch of hockey as well. It's great that the Stars are scoring. It's great that they're winning games. I don't think it does anything for the odds of trading a player like Stamkos, but it is good that he's scoring for all the reasons: entertainment value, winning, and oh, by the way, other people will pay attention and take note that he's doing it.
Yeah. Again, mushy middle is an improvement for this team right now. And so you kind of take it. You have to, because that's your best option right now.
All right. Anything else? Some praise for Onanen. Is that what you want? Some praise for Onanen. Got to win. The metrics say that he's a better goaltender than the eye test, but he did play well on Sunday against the Rangers and got a nice win. So say some nice things, Emma, about Juuse Saros.
I didn't say any not nice things about Juuse Saros, but yes, he played. They won. I would agree. The eye test maybe not as aligned with the metrics, but I don't mean to take away anything from his win. So good for him. Good for the Preds.
Well, and Adam's big point, I believe, when I talked to him about them, is he gave up a goal and 5 shots in spot duty filling in for Saros against the Rangers, and he gave up 2 against Carolina filling in. So if you take away the ones where he's not, just the games where he's starting, like he gave up 1 goal on 17 shots against Colorado. He gave up just 3 goals on 40 shots. He gave up in the win against Detroit. He gave up 3 goals on 31 shots. So those are all above 90% save percentage. So he's had a lot of the damage to him metric wise is coming when he's filling in for Saros. So just want to point that out. So all right. Anything else? Anything else you got? Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Predemption. Has that ever happened in franchise history that the Preds won back-to-back games and the game-winning goal was actually an empty net goal? I have no idea. I assume they've won back-to-back games with the game. You're saying they gave they had two empty netters? Is that what you're saying? Because they did not have that empty netter, the two empty netters against the Rangers. But the empty netter was the game winner. I see what he's saying. Are you following me, Emma?
I'm following. I too do not know the answer.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. Maybe don't give up a goal in the last minute when you have a 2-goal lead is what we're saying.
Yep.
I think is what we're saying. Okay. All right. Merry Christmas, everybody. Lower Broad Hockey for subscribers. Make sure you check out Sinkers for stocking stuffers. Make sure you read all of Emma's work all over the internet. You can listen to her all over the place. And, of course, you can follow me at Braden Gall. Thank you guys all for hanging out in the comments on this random Monday afternoon. But it's a holiday, and we want everybody to have a great holiday week, including Emma Lingan. And so Merry Christmas to all of you guys. Happy Hanukkah. Whatever holiday you celebrate, have a great one. I hope it's wonderful and filled with peace and love and joy. So have a good one. For Emma, I'm Braden. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for spending some time with us. We'll talk to you next time.